everyone. Today I'm speaking with Jacqueline Wales. Jacqueline is a fearless advocate for change and is the author of The Fearless Factor and The Fearless Factor at Work. She believes that fear matters to our success and is the creator of the Transformational Strategies for Success, a self-directed online personal development program. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Oh, nice to be here, Jennifer. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So tell me a little bit about your dance through life. Who are you?
Well, that's a long story, and we don't have time for long stories, so I'll give you the shortened version. I grew up in Scotland and left there very quickly by the age of 16, moved to London. After a few years in London, went to San Francisco, then Los Angeles to Paris, to Amsterdam, home in Bali, New York, and finally here back to California, just outside of San Francisco again. In between, I wrote 3 books. I became a musician, recorded a CD, became a cantor for synagogues in Paris and Amsterdam, took up martial arts and earned a black belt in Shotokan karate, and raised 4 children somewhere along the way, as well as starting a coaching business at the age of 53 or 54 that became my life's calling. And so that in a nutshell is who I am at this point in time. I am absolutely passionate about helping people understand what fear does to you and how you can overcome it, because I've had my own journey through that and had to learn how to face my own limited beliefs, my own sense of not being good enough, and figure out how to get to the other side of that. Of course, I didn't do it alone. I had some great coaching. I had some great teachers and mentors and others who were able to say, don't go that way, go this way. And that's exactly what I've done. So my Transformational Strategies program that you mentioned is all about the tools and insights necessary to make great change in your life and really understand who you are, where you want to go, and what is it that's getting in the way. And again, it's all based on, I've been there, done that, and I know what this looks and smells like. Yes, you can improve if you wish. There you are.
Mm-hmm. Well, my goodness, you have such a rich and deep history, and I'd love to dive more into that. And you're right now we don't have time to do that. But for listeners who are interested in your Transformational Strategies for Change program, what would you tell them about how this content can help them overcome maybe the fears that they have?
So here's the deal, as you well know, because you're a coach too. People come looking for answers, but you can't find the answers until you ask good questions. And not only good questions, but deep questions. And one of the things that I truly believe in is we need to spend a lot of time in self-reflection as we start to face the obstacles in our life, when we start to think about where it is we want to go and what is it that matters to us. So in this program, I've given 77 activities, which are all about questions, because I want you to take that deep dive. Now, this is about getting honest with yourself. And you know as well as I do, change is hard for most people, and they will avoid it. They will do all kinds of things in order for not to change, even though they are desperately seeking change. Yeah. So this program is designed to take you on the journey of figuring out, as I said earlier, who are you? Where is it that you want to go? And what is it that's getting in the way? So we look at fear as number one. You know, where does fear show up? And I like to say fear matters to your success because it's a driver for growth. And if we use our fears as a driver for growth rather than an obstacle that we want to run away from or avoid or deny or any of those things, then opportunities happen. Possibilities become much greater. And we could do a whole thing on fear and what it does to you. But that's a major component. Looking at where you avoid making changes. The second strategy is willing to change. What are you willing to change? And that, I think, becomes a really big question for individuals. We look at blame, we look at negative thinking, we look at your attitude. We also look on the positive side about what is it that gives your life purpose? What's your values? What are your goals? What action steps are you taking? So there's a whole bunch of that. And we're going to look at communication. How are you communicating? Because that's another big piece of this. If we look at emotional intelligence, self-awareness is on one hand and social awareness is on the other. And the program involves both of those together. So it's really a powerful program for developing emotional intelligence, but first and foremost, self-awareness.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you've had extensive experience in overcoming your fears, that were rooted in, different experiences throughout your life. And it helped you understand who you are and where you want to go. How how did that help you understand who you are and where you wanted to go?
I had to do some very deep digging into my past, first and foremost. Where did my beliefs come from? What were the beliefs that I was holding on to? Because our beliefs are the stories we tell ourselves. And how do we change the story that we tell ourselves? Well, we have to create a new story, a new narrative of who we want to be. And that narrative may not be available to you right this second, but if you are willing to dream and willing to stay open and curious and ask lots of questions, then you'll get past it. But I spent 10 years in therapy before I even got anywhere near the coaching world. So a lot of it was about unearthing, where did a lot of this start? And some of the questions in my program are also geared to, where did this belief system start? Where do you find yourself not feeling good enough, blah, blah, blah. So for me, the unearthing of me was a very painful, long, and hard journey. And what I decided was that there's an easier way to do this. And that's primarily why I do what I do, because there is an easier way to do this with the right kind of support. So my journey was decades long. It wasn't something that happened overnight. There's no miracles here. And there's no miracles in any change process, frankly. There is simply an opening and an awareness that things do need to change. It was a lot to do with behaviors, and it was also inspired by my children. I wanted to be a better parent, and I couldn't be a better parent if I was going to drag around the baggage. And I needed to take a very good, hard look at the baggage: controlling, fearful, drugs and alcohol. I mean, my early life was replete with all the dysfunctions that we know about and stuff we don't know about. And it doesn't serve you. It destroys your life. I just posted this morning on LinkedIn in my newsletter that, I could have killed myself very easily at a certain point. And that was not hyperbole. It was right on. I used a quote from Hunter Thompson's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. You may have heard of that book. Yeah, that was my life at one point. So that's really, when you look at how self-destructive that is, then you have to take a step back and realize you need to do it differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So your experience over a very long period of time showed you why this change is so important and why this awareness from both a self perspective and a social perspective is so important. Why else is this content in Transformational Strategies for Success important for people who might be listening?
Most people have this idea that they want to be a better version of themselves. They know that deep within them, there is other possibilities, that they can have a greater impact on their career and their life, that they can find joy and satisfaction. But the process of getting there means that we have to get real. We have to get honest. And the one thing that this program gives you, because of the nature of the questions involved, is you get real. You get honest. And I've had people go through this program who tell me it was really hard. And I would be like, yeah, well, it's not meant to be easy. This is not, dip your toe in the water and get surface results here. I want transformation. You want transformation. And that transformation only comes when you're willing to show up and take a hard look in the mirror at what is working for you and what is not. And what happens during the process of doing this program is you get to see very clearly what's working and what's not, because of the answers that you give to those questions. So, there's a book out there by Warren Berger called A Beautiful Question, and he's done two versions of it. And I am on the same page as he is. Unless you know which questions to ask, it's very hard to change. It's very hard to change. So I've done my best to give people the goods so that they can start the process. And it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I've had people go through this program in 2 weeks in a retreat, and they came out transformed because they were willing every day to sit down and dig in and do the work and answer these questions. Of course, they had me in the room with them too, so I'm very good at prodding and bringing out whatever there might be resistance around. But that's one of the reasons why the program is also accompanied by monthly Zoom type interactions, because I want to find out where's the resistance and how can I help you get past that resistance in order to find the beautiful answers that you're looking for.
So what would you say is the most important message or takeaway from your Transformational Strategies for Success program?
I think it's really fundamental. Change can happen if you do the work. It's like anything else. It works if you work it. I was in AA for 5 years before I realized that it wasn't about my drinking, it was about my thinking. And when I realized that it was all about the BS in my head, and that was what was driving the obsession for drinking, it was much easier for me to go figure it out. And after 5 years of sobriety, I was then able to say, yeah, I can drink, and I'm not going to turn into an alcoholic like my father, which was my greatest fear. At the time, that was my greatest fear. So they do say in the program, it works if you work it. And every day you would hear that mantra when you go into an AA meeting. And that's how I feel about this program. It works if you work it. And you can achieve the change that you want to make, because everybody's got something they want to change, whether it's your mindset or it's your health or it's your being overweight or whatever the case may be. There is something in your life you want to change. But do you have the commitment, the focus, the discipline, the follow through, the consistency, and the perseverance, which are the 5 things that I learned in martial arts that makes a difference. And those 5 things are engaging in this program.
Well, I love how there's such a cross-disciplinary aspect to your program. And it's been informed by all of these different things that you've gone through and all these experiences that you've had. And change is really the only constant that we have, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
We've been through so much change in the last 2 years, particularly because of the pandemic. And I think there might be a little bit of change fatigue out there. So how would you help listeners understand that now is the right time for this content for them?
Well, the last 2 years have shown us where our priorities lie. And I think that's the biggest piece that's come out of the last 2 years. What's important to you? What really matters to you? And a lot of it has come down to it's family, it's friendships, it's maybe finding out that the job you're in, you hated and happy to let that one go and look for something else. There's a lot of ways. Or for instance, I put on 20 pounds during COVID. Well, I got to a point where, 4 months ago, I said enough already. And I worked with a nutritionist to let go of the pounds and do a detox program. That's a big change. And yes, I've lost 20 pounds in the last 4 months. But it took discipline. It took a willingness, a commitment to make that change. So I think that whilst there's change fatigue going on, it's not personal change fatigue that's set in. It's societal fatigue that's set in. And you just need to look around and see the mess that's out there right now. Every single day we hear of another drama. And that's wearing. That is very wearing. So on a personal level, it's like, what do you need to support you? What do you need to feel better about who you are? And perhaps what do you need for you to take that next step? Because I like to say being fearless is not the absence of fear. It's that courage to take the next step, to discover the possibilities and opportunities that are available to you. But as long as you're stuck and as long as you're feeling like you need to be in status quo, nothing changes. Nothing changes. And you've got to be willing to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because if you're not, then that's another piece of it. We know that change is hard. Everybody has that, but then the only guarantee in life, as you just mentioned, is uncertainty. We know that there are no guarantees in life. And we only have so much control. And that was the other thing about the last two years. We had to discover how much control we really had in our lives. And what we discovered was a lot of it was we don't. And then so you have to again look around you at the immediate circumstances and say, okay, what can I control? And you can control yourself, period. Everything else is circumstantial. And you've got to have a different relationship with it if necessary. And as a certified recovering control freak, I get it. I totally, yeah.
So for people who are listening who might be ready to take that next step into the unknown and are comfortable with being uncomfortable, how can they learn more about your Transformational Strategies for Success program? Where can they find it?
Thank you. So if you go to my website, JacquelineWales.com, very simple, you'll find all the information you need on the program. And of course, if you want to dig in deeper, then definitely talk to me, because I want to speak to people before they go on this program. It's not one of those, go and sign up and blah, blah, blah. I want to make sure it's a good fit for you. I want to make sure that you're ready to make the commitment necessary for you to get the results you want, because that's another side of it. How many programs have we signed up for, me included, that never got finished or really wasn't the right program for me at that given time? And I would hate for people to do this program and not get what they need from it, because I'm very committed to making sure that people are getting what they need. So I would say go to the website, take a look around, contact me, talk to me. Let's see if it's a good fit, and we go from there.
Okay. So what else would you like to share about the Transformational Strategies for Success program?
Well, we've covered a great deal in this conversation, and all I can say is that this is a very unique coaching experience. I've looked at a lot of coaching programs online. You get the PDFs, you get the videos, and that's pretty much it. Well, in this program, we've built it on a platform where you get a lot of interactivity. You've got, a lot of questions in there, of course, is what I've mentioned before, a lot of opportunities to really just read and think. There's quotes on this thing. You get little pieces that you can move around and so forth. There's a feeling of being engaged with it. And I made 50 videos for this program that allows me to virtually connect with you, just as I'm doing right now. That helps you to develop even more insights into what's going on. So I like to think this is a unique program. I don't think there's too many coaches out there who are capable of putting something like this together. But this is content I've created and worked with for 12 years, and now it's all online, and I'm very proud of it. I think it's a great program. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like something that the world definitely needs. And for people who are interested in change and ready to go on that change journey, Jacqueline Wales has a program, self-directed and online, called the Transformational Strategies for Success. So I encourage you to visit Jacqueline's website at JacquelineWales.com, where you can find out more information about the program and get in touch with Jacqueline to have a personal conversation and see if the program is a right fit for you. So thank you so much for being here, Jacqueline.
My pleasure, Jennifer. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.